Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing. Yeah, isn't that amazing?
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 7 new coastal patriotic DIYs for you using items from the Dollar Tree. You guys know I love doing coastal for every holiday, and this is no exception. So for the first project, we're going to start with 3 of the seahorse from Dollar Tree and 2 pieces of their craft wood. I have, I think, a full piece and a piece I've used before, the 10-inch chunky slats. And I love these seahorses. With previous DIYs, I've just left them plain because they're so cute. But for this one, I thought we would give it some red, white, and blue fun and make a cool little 4th of July decoration. So I'm going to leave one white, so I don't need to tape that, but I am taping the bases. They are like that resin ceramic, but they look like wood and they look cool, so I'm going to leave them like that. And we're going to paint the other 2. So for the first one, I'm going to paint it red. The color I have is, I think it's just bright red acrylic by Delta. You can do kind of whatever color red you want. I don't like too much the red and royal blue. I usually try to go with either a beachy blue for the blue or a navy blue. So today I'm going to do a navy blue. So I'm doing red, white, and like navy blue. I just think it looks really nice together. Now, as you can see, there are lots of little nooks and crannies on this seahorse, so it does take a brush and a little bit of work to get all of that covered. And we are going to distress it to make it look cool like the original one too, but this is going to be the base color, like white is the base color on the other one. So this is the navy blue color. Goes on a little bright, but it dries a little bit darker. And same thing, we're just going to go over the whole thing. You want to paint your front and back, and we're going to put this all together and make a really cool USA patriotic display. Now, on my patriotic videos here on YouTube, I do both coastal and non-coastal because not all of you guys decorate coastal, and so I will be doing some of the non-coastal as well, but for today we're doing all coastal. Now for the craft wood, I have 2 pieces. What I want it to be is stacked, so it'll be taller, so I'm going to stack them on top of each other. So I'm going to want it long enough for 3 of these, right? So I'm going to go ahead and use my longest piece and just use a pencil and sketch out 3. I'm also going to want an extra piece to make one of them higher, so I'm going to go ahead and sketch out a 4th one. Now on this board, I'm also going to cut it here because I told you I want to stack it double to make it taller. So I'm going to cut here, and I'm going to cut here with my saw, and I have 3 pieces of wood now. So just going to give them a quick sand. What I want to do is try to distress this wood to kind of make it look like the base of the seahorses, which looks like wood, but it's not wood. So it's going to be a little challenging to get it to like kind of go together. I want it to look like old driftwood. So I'm going to put it together first though. So I just use hot glue to attach my 2 pieces of wood together. I use Gorilla Glue hot glue. It works pretty good for wood. And just make sure I squeeze that in there. And since I sketched this out, I know exactly where to put the top block. And I glue that in place too. I want the seahorse in the middle to be the highest. Now, I did like a 3-step process to kind of stain and age this. First, I took some antique wax by Waverly and some water. And we're going to do a really light stain, see what this does to the wood, just letting that soak in. And as you can see, even though the wood's the same, it kind of stains a little bit differently, but that's okay. So I do that on the front, the sides. We're going to do that all the areas that are visible up here on the riser, just in case you can see any of that when I attach the seahorses to it, and the back just to make it look nicer. And that looks pretty good, but as you can see, it doesn't really look like the wood on the seahorse. So I'm going to do a little wash of gray acrylic paint just by using a paper towel and like a baby wipe and just kind of wiping that over the stain to see if I can get it about the same color scheme. And that's starting to look a little bit better. So I'm going to do that all over just to give it a little bit of a gray stain. Sometimes I, instead of Antique Wax by Waverly, will use gray to stain wood to look like driftwood. It's going to give it that old weathered wood feel, which is what I'm going for. And then the final step is I'm going to distress it with just plain Antique Wax by Waverly. I put that on there and just wipe off the excess. And it gave it a little bit more of a warmer wood, but with gray undertones and all the other little steps we did, and it gave it really a cool look. So I'm going to do that on the top and the back. The ends don't really need too much work. They're kind of like raw wood there on the end, and they kind of just soak everything up. Now for the letters, I'm just going to freehand it. I'll show you how I do it. I just kind of know my sections right. So I just do a big U, an S, and I'm using my Posca paint pens. I have a whole set of these now, like almost every color, I think. I love them. They work so good. You can get them on Amazon. I have them available in my Amazon shop. They are the best paint pens I've ever used for real. And then I went in and just made my letters a little bit fatter and just put little lines on the end to kind of make them look a little bit cooler. I want them to look like big block letters for USA, one for each one of the seahorses. Once I painted them on there, I just went in and sanded them with my sanding block, just to kind of give them that coastal farmhouse distressed look. And then between the letters, I wanted starfish. The only starfish I had were these. These came from one of my viewers. I think she got these at Hobby Lobby. Fun little seahorse shapes, but you could always use the little tiny seahorses from the clothespins at the Dollar Tree. I think those are about the same size. To paint them, they don't need very much paint, and I don't want to fill up those great starfish holes, so I'm just using a paper towel and a little dot of paint, and that worked really well to give them a light coat of red and blue without filling up the little holes. And then I just went over and gave them a quick little sand, kind of give them that little bit of a coastal farmhouse vibe as well. And I'm going to do red, white, and blue, so I want to alternate where my red and blue are, so I'm going to do blue on the left and red on the right, and I just attached them both with a dot of hot glue, filling in the spaces between USA. So let's check out how our painted seahorses are doing. I let them dry, but I still had to dry them a little bit with my heat gun because, you know, paint kind of pools up a little bit inside there. To distress them, I just took a makeup sponge and some white acrylic, and I'm just dragging it. Putting just a little bit of paint on there, dragging it over, and it gives it that great pattern that it had originally. If you get too much in any little area, just use a baby wipe or something, or the original paint color to go in and touch it up. But doesn't that like make it look so much better? It brought out all that great detail on these seahorses. I absolutely love these seahorses. They were short living, but I found them in the regular aisle at some of my stores, like in with the home decor, as well as with the shore living line. They're so pretty. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing here with the blue seahorse. I'm not going to have to do anything with the white seahorse. The white seahorse is distressed with like wood look, which is fine. And then both of these are distressed with white, which gives it that red, white, and blue look. Little touch up on my seahorse face there. I distressed a little heavily. And then I just went in and removed my painter's tape that I was using to protect the base. And we have our red, white, and blue seahorses. Now it's just a matter of putting it together. You could just stack it on there, but I want mine to be a finished piece and all stay together. So I attach my seahorses with hot glue. And the red, the blue. On this side, I want it to be red, white, and blue. And then for the one that we raised up with the second or the third block, I guess, we're going to put that right in the middle. That is the white one. That's what it's looking like so far. Right here, hot glue the last one in place. And I absolutely love how this turned out. It is so cute, and I can't wait to display this for the 4th of July. Isn't this so pretty? So I know some of you guys were looking for ways to DIY these seahorses, and most of us have been like, oh, we just leave them alone. Well, here is a DIY where you DIY the seahorse as well. They look fantastic painted. And they look really cute on this little rustic base we made, USA, with a little starfish on there as well. What do you guys think about our first DIY? I had so much fun putting this one together. If you're enjoying today's video, don't forget to hit that like button. It always helps my videos do better here on YouTube. Okay, the next DIY, I wanted to do something fun with these corals they have this year. They have them in patriotic color, so I picked up a Dollar Tree vase. This is kind of one of the shorter ones. And look at this great burlap they have with the 4th of July section. And then I picked up a little American flag patch in the crafter square. I love this burlap, but I thought it just screamed coastal 4th of July because burlap looks so coastal, and then it has the blue stars on there. So we are simply just going to cover the vase with it. I thought that'd be a really quick DIY. And so I'm just cutting it. I'm not even going to iron this one. Just cutting this first section that's about the same size as my vase, and just cutting a piece that's going to be a little bit bigger than my vase. And it does fray, so I'm trying to be careful with it as I cut it. You could always seal your ends with Mod Podge if you wanted. I'm using the red and the blue willow on this one, and then I'm also using the white glitter coral because I couldn't find the willow in white. That way I can do the red, white, and blue, but they all look really similar. So I just do a bead of hot glue here on the back of my vase, and once I got a nice straight line of the burlap, I glued that to it. I'm going to pull it tight. I'm only going to be attaching it to the back. It's going to be like a sleeve. Mine was a little bit long, so I'm going to trim it down a little bit, cutting with a grain so I can get another straight line on that burlap. And then I can go back and always trim the top and bottom. So I just do a bead of hot glue on that and glue it to itself, a quick little sleeve. And, you know, not too permanent. Like if I want to reuse this vase for something else, it's going to be really easy to pull that hot glue off the glass. So I just have a little bit of a extra burlap and frayed edges here on the bottom. I just trim that down so that it can sit well with no overlap of the burlap, and then I trim the top as well, trying to like minimize the fraying and make it look nice there too. I'm not going to trim it out or anything like that. I'm just going to leave it with like burlap edges. I think that looks kind of cool. So that's what we have so far. I thought it would look even cuter to add an American flag to the front. So this is the American flag patch from the Crafter Square. They kind of have these all the time. I don't think they're necessarily 4th of July. And I'm just going to hot glue that on to the burlap. Having the burlap there really helps that glue and that like round pattern to the vase, because you can glue it directly to the burlap. And we have a fun coastal patriotic vase. It looks coastal with the burlap, of course, and then we're going to be adding corals. So coral's very coastal as well. I picked up 6 of these. I did 2 of the red, 2 of the blue, and 2 of the white. So the vase is a nice size, so I don't think I'm going to have to trim it or anything. And I really don't need any kind of filler. You could use filler in it, but they kind of are going to fill up this vase really nicely. So I started with just kind of alternating, you know, where I put them in there. You can kind of work with them to figure out how you like to display your coral, what looks best for you. I did it like this at first, and then I wasn't that happy with it, so I took them out and I kind of fanned them out like this, where they are like fans of coral, and then I can just layer them in like that. So that's what I ended up doing. I went red, white, blue, and then I kind of want red on the front too. So then I'm going to do white, blue, and red. All fanned out, but you can arrange them however you like, but that's what I ended up doing with mine. Really fun centerpiece for 4th of July, really easy, and it definitely has that coastal vibe with all of the coral, the red, white, and blue coral, and that cute little burlap vase. I just love that fabric. It's so cool. They had red burlap, blue burlap. They have a stripe pattern as well. I'm going to be using this burlap in another DIY today too, because I think it's really cute. Okay, for the next DIY, I'm using a Dollar Tree Patriotic chair color of a flag and one of the sailboat shore living signs from this year. I wanted to have a back though, and I figured that one of the calendars from Dollar Tree, the cardboard on there, might provide me a nice back. And look at that, it's just the right size. It's not going to be super sturdy, but I think it's going to work. So I'm just going to use the stripe pattern from the flag chair cover to cover the cardboard back. You could always paint this if you didn't want to use a flag cover. And so I'm just going to go ahead and cut a piece of this polyester out a little bit bigger than what I need. And it's going to cover it. Now, the chair cover is a little see-through on the white, so you are going to be able to see some of the cardboard behind it. So it's going to give you a kind of a rustic feel. So don't expect it to be bright red and white. And if you wanted that, you would need to paint your cardboard white or use like a white sign behind it or something like that. I thought even about just attaching fabric to the back, but I wanted it to be a little bit sturdier, which is why I am going to use the cardboard. So it did have wrinkles in it from being packaged, so I just went ahead and ironed that out. And then I'm going to cut it down just a little bit here I want it to overlap each edge. And then I'm going to go in and just simply Mod Podge the flag to the cardboard. Just a nice even coat all over so it will stick well. And then that's going to provide the background for the back of our sailboat sign. Now they have these in like octopus, other different things as well. You can kind of do whatever you have, but I thought the sailboat would be fun for the 4th of July. So you have a little bit of wiggle room to play with this. If you get it on there and it's not super straight like I did, you can kind of pick it up and lay it back down and move it around until you get it a little bit straighter, which is what I did. And then I just used a paper towel to kind of make sure it's really good and attached and went in and gave it a quick dry. Then I can go in and trim off the excess fabric. I don't want it to stick out from the side of the signs. This calendar cardboard was just a little bit smaller, so I think it's going to fit inside the frame nicely. Again, it's not super sturdy. I don't use cardboard a lot in my DIYs, but it's kind of something that I had that I didn't really have to cut anything down to size. I'm going to go ahead and remove the hanger from our sailboat sign. And I want to do Coastal Patriotic on this sign, but I want it to be very kind of rustic. So let's stain things. So I'm going to start with Antique Wax by Waverly. And I'm just using one of those stencil daubers from the Dollar Tree to stain that. And I'm just using it and going all over everything. I'm going to go in and make things different colored, but I want everything to have like a stained wood base. So I don't want it to be really dark though. So I'm going over it with a baby wipe to kind of lighten it up a little bit. Let that beautiful wood grain come through on the sailboat. And then we can start kind of differentiating the different things on here. It's kind of hard to see what's what on here, but this is the sail. I am just distressing that with that navy blue acrylic, letting that wood show through a little bit. I don't want it to be too thick. And I'm going to do that on both of my sails. So I'm going to decorate the back sail because it's kind of solid, right? And the other one has all the slots in it. And then I just kind of went over that with the baby wipe, kind of pushing that navy down into it, making it look like a stained blue sail. And I kind of want to do the water more of a blue color. I started with this cloudless color and just going over all of the waves down here with it. It's a very light blue color. Once I got it on there and used my baby wipe to kind of rub it all in, as you can see, it doesn't really look blue at all. It's too light. So I'm going to add a little Key West to this. To give me a little bit more of that ocean blue. It's not a color I'm using a lot today, but I thought it would be pretty for the water. So I'm going to go ahead and stain all that color. Now the boat is in there somewhere, like the boat itself. It's kind of hard to see, and I actually forget about it for a little bit, but we will go back and stain the boat too. And then for the flag, I want it to kind of stand out a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do a coat of white to kind of give it a base so I can paint that to make it look kind of like flag stripes. I thought that would be cute. And this is what it looks like so far with the red and white flag background. I think that looks cool with a background in it. So let's go ahead and attach this. I'm going to use hot glue to glue this all down, all four corners. I don't have a lot of room to do it, but I do have a little bit. So I'm going to go ahead and hot glue this down, starting at the top. I did have a little bit of trouble getting the hot glue to stick on this, and I don't know if it's because of what the fabric was made out of or if I didn't have this completely dry, but make sure you have it going to attach. You don't want this part falling off. And the sign itself was pretty flat, so I didn't have to work with any bowing or anything like that in the sign itself. Now for the stars for our 4th of July sale, I'm going to use Starfish. I get these little tiny starfish on Amazon. I love them. I use them all the time. I have them linked in my Amazon shop, linked below. And I'm going to try to arrange them in a star pattern like you would see an American flag. Trying to get like flat ones that aren't broken. I don't really care if they're different sizes, but I want to alternate them in that great star pattern. So a little bit to figure out the perfect ones, and I think that looks really good like that. Like the American flag, it's like kind of a staggered pattern for the stars, so I thought that'd be cute. And then a little teeny dot of hot glue is all it needs to attach these starfish. That Ryobi hot glue gun, if you guys have one, you know that it shoots out a lot of hot glue guns, so you might want to use a different one. I was struggling to just get a dot here, but just gluing those all down for a fun little another coastal touch to this DIY. I love to use Starfish for 4th of July because why not, right? So that's what it's looking like so far. We're going to keep adding to this all kinds of fun details. So we're going to start with a paint pen. I'm going to do some flag stripes here. So I have a red paint pen. I kind of start out with this like more maroon color. I do kind of switch it more to a brighter red because the flag stripes on the back are a little bit more of a brighter red. But I just went over that white distressing with that and did red stripes. We're going to do some white stripes here to try to do a flag pattern. So we have the stars on the sail. We have the stripes on the flag. Just a quick little bit of sanding. I do touch that up a couple times until I am completely happy with it. I know that when you kind of sand the red, it really bleeds a lot into the white, so I was trying to avoid that if I can. I'm going to go ahead and replace the hanger. I'm not going to do beads or anything on mine. You totally can. I'm just going to tie mine off with just a simple hanger. We're going to have so many cute details on this, especially with the starfish added on there, that I don't think it really needs anything extra at the top. And this is a really thin twine, kind of a bigger hole, so I think it works a little bit better just to actually tie it off like that. That's when I realized you couldn't see the boat. So you probably should do this before you attach your background, because now I'm going to have to be careful not to get this on the background. Then I'm like, oh yeah, there's supposed to be a boat down here. So I'm going to go in and stain that with some antique wax by Waverly. This is the first time I've DIY'd, I think, one of these signs from the Shore Living line from Dollar Tree. So you can kind of see it. It kind of goes straight across here, and then I think it goes all the way over here to like that looks like another point of a boat. So I'm trying to find it with my paintbrush, right? At first I thought about trying to make the water look wavy, kind of like that. Then I decided to kind of make it smoother because all of like the lines of water are all smooth looking. And so I just went ahead and did a smooth line. It's going to be easier to try to make it look like there is a boat floating in that water. I kind of go over it with a paper towel, distressing it. It is going to have like a little bit of a blue undertone on it, just because I stained it blue first, forgetting that there was a boat there, but that's okay. So I just try to fill in that area that I would logically think is going to be the boat, right? You can see it now. And kind of touch up my blue as well because I kind of blend them all together. I don't want any straight lines. I want everything kind of just gently kind of transitioning to each other, including the frame. So we're just going to touch that up a little bit. And then I also want to do like the mast, but I don't really want to mess with like the sail that I've already done. So I'm going to just kind of stain the bottom here of the pole on the sailboat and at the very top by the flag. Now it looks like there is a boat, and I told you I did update my red color because I thought it was a little dark. You know, sometimes you finish a project and you're like, I think it needed some brighter red. And that's it. We have our patriotic sailboat. I think it looks so cute. As you can see, using that cardboard kind of gave a texture. It looks a little bit better today. So keep that in mind. You might just want to use the fabric in the back and skip the cardboard if you don't want that texture on there. But I kind of like it. It kind of looks coastal to me. But I love the starfish on there. I think it's really pretty. It's a very subtle 4th of July decoration. It's not too crazy. Okay, next DIY, let's do an Uncle Sam hat. Dollar Tree has like a couple different variations of this hat. It doesn't really matter which one you use. I'm going to cover it with some more of that wonderful burlap from the 4th of July this year. And I want to do like one part of the hat stars, one part of the hat red. That's what I'm going to do. I kind of wanted stripes, but they didn't have a red and white stripe one, and so we're just going to go with a red. I start by just replacing the hanger. I'm going to decorate the back of this so I don't have to worry about all of the glitter and all the crazy stuff going on the other side, right? So I feed this in. Now I end up hanging this a different way, so you can skip this step. But this is how I started with, because I thought I'm going to need to attach the hanger now because I'm going to attach the burlap onto the sign. And I was trying to decide if I wanted to make this like an Uncle Sam gnome, but I already have an Uncle Sam gnome from my last video, and I really love that one, so I'm just going to make it an Uncle Sam hat. So you might want to iron your burlap first. I probably should have done that first. What I'm doing is just kind of sketching out with a Sharpie on the burlap itself, a little bit wider than the top of the hat. That way I can cut that off and not have any of the Sharpie on my fabric. So then I'm just going to go ahead and cut the top of the hat on the inside of that Sharpie line to cut out the top of the hat. Since it's burlap and it frays, I wanted to cut everything first so I could work with it kind of as little as possible. So as you can see, the wrinkles in this do kind of interfere with your cutting, so you're probably going to want to iron it first. I do end up ironing it, but later. Now for the bottom of the hat, I wanted to use the red to kind of make it look like an Uncle Sam hat. Those colors kind of reminded me of that. I thought about painting white stripes on this to make it look like the flag, and you totally could, so that's an option, but I ended up just using red. So same thing, I just lay my hat on there. I'm going to cut out a piece of burlap a little bit larger, like I do about a 1/2 inch out, and then just cut inside the line just like that. And it's going to get me pretty close, right? For the top of the hat, I just kind of have to guess. So I just cut out what I know and then just kind of go from side to side. And I have like a long red oval. Then I was like, you know what, girl, you got to iron this burlap. And I have my Cricut Easy Press on my craft center. And honestly, I use this more for crafting and for Dollar Tree fabric and burlap than I use it for anything else now that I have my fancy auto press in the other room. So I'm going to go ahead and iron this to make it flatter. It's going to make it easier to attach and make it look better in the final DIY. But I don't want to make it fray too much, so I'm trying not to work with it too much if I can. And now we can go ahead and start attaching this, putting this together. Now, the other side kind of shows you how the hat's supposed to look. It's supposed to kind of look a little bit more 3D, so I'm going to do a strap between the red and the stars. But for now, I can have a little bit of space there that I can cover up with the strap, right? I'm just going to leave this part whole, the oval down here, and I just Mod Podged that on. I did enough Mod Podge so that it will stick nicely, but I don't really necessarily want that coming through the burlap if I can help it. And then this is the top part. I'm going to start going ahead and glue the whole thing down, and then I'll kind of trim the fabric so I don't have like layered fabric there where it kind of overlaps at the brim of the hat. So a nice coat of Mod Podge, smoothing this out. I can always trim up any fraying, and that's when I realized I don't really want those bumps like behind my burlap, so I went ahead and removed the hanger, and we'll just attach the hanger to the back of the sign. That way it'll look cleaner. And then I just cut off the overlapping fabric here so it's nice and flat. And it's already looking so much better than it did before. I'm not a fan of the glitter and stuff like that there on the back and that pattern, but I can kind of use that as a guide there for the strap that I'm going to make. And once I get it glued on, I can go ahead and trim my burlap, making that look so much better, just trimming the edges. And it shouldn't fray anymore. I did think about going around and framing it out with Dollar Tree rope, and you really could, but I just didn't think it needed it. I thought it was kind of fine on its own. So I do have to replace the hanger though, because we did remove it. So to do that, I'm just going to take the twine and knot it and glue it into the existing holes here in the back. It's a Dollar Tree sign, so it's pretty light. It's not going to take a lot to hold it. And we're going to do the same thing here on the other side. That way it'll be hidden and no bumps underneath my burlap. If you wanted to go all the way through, you could go through all the burlap too. Now, I thought about using some of the faux leather for the strap, but I didn't really like how it looked. So I'm going to use Dollar Tree rope. You could also, I guess, just use plain burlap, but I wanted it to have that curvy pattern that the strap had on the other side. So I thought rope would be better to get that curvy shape, but I'm going to have to use a lot of it to make my strap wide enough for the size of this Uncle Sam hat. So I am cutting it. I'm not wrapping it all the way around. I want it to be flat, hanging against the wall. And so I'm just cutting each piece down to size first, hot gluing it on until we get enough of a strap. And this is a great use for any spare rope you have. I have a million pieces of scrap rope because, you know, save those scraps. You never know when you're going to need them. And then I'm going to do a total, I think, 5 to make it wide enough for what I want to do. So that looks coastal and cute and is a nice strap there for Uncle Sam hat. And then I want to finish it off with, of course, a starfish for another little coastal touch. This is a Dollar Tree Shore Living starfish. I'm going to paint it, so I probably should have done that before I glued it down. But I went ahead and hot glued that in place because at first I was like, oh, red, white, and blue. I can just leave it white. And then my son and I were like, it needs something. We're like, it needs flag stripes. So we're going to do flag stripes with a red paint pen here carefully, since I already have it attached, on my starfish. Now, starfishes usually are patterned like radially, and so that's what we're going to do with ours. I thought at first about just making stripes go straight across it, but that wouldn't really make sense for a starfish. So I'm going to go ahead and fill in the center red. And then I'll be able to do 2 stripes on each one of the starfish rays. So I'm trying to go around enough on this, but not enough to get any paint on my rope. That's why I really should have done this before I attached it to the sign, but you know. I'm going to do 2 stripes on each one. And it's really cute little flag pattern for a starfish, and I think it's going to be the perfect final touch for this project. My son really got a kick out of painting the starfish like this. He said it looked like a flag, but it also kind of looks like a candy cane. He's like, you should do that again for Christmas. I probably will. I love decorating coastal for Christmas. And that looks pretty good. I was trying to decide if I should leave it like that or if I needed a little white in the middle. Then I decided I was a little heavy on the red right there in the middle, right? So I'm going to go in there with a white paint pen and fill in the middle section white. But I want to keep that first stripe on each one of my rays. So I did a circle and then I'm just kind of like filling in the area in between each one and then just kind of shading it to kind of make it make sense. And we have a fun flag striped starfish. I think it was a perfect final touch for Uncle Sam hat. What do you guys think about this one? And if you did want to make yours a gnome, you could use like macrame cord, mop head, any of the different kind of mop heads to make a fun beard on there. Just add a nose as well, and that'd be really cute too. But I kind of like the simplicity of just the Uncle Sam hat. Very cute, very subtle, kind of like the sailboat. Hey guys, have you joined my private Facebook group yet? It is definitely growing. Lots of fun DIYs. I got an idea from one of you guys on there today that I'm going to use today. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. My handle is Crafty Beach on YouTube on everything. Let's get back to the DIYs. Now, this one is so simple, and these are the Starfish from the Shore Living line. Of course, I picked up red, white, and blue because the Shore Living line comes out so close to 4th of July, and their stuff is so much cuter than the 4th of July stuff at Dollar Tree. And this is just a no-brainer. Let's make a fun little wall garland with the red, white, and blue starfish. They already have these great, really sturdy rope hangers on them, so let's just go ahead and use them. And they're nice and thick wood starfish too, so you can definitely use a staple gun. So I am just going to staple that, making sure that is secure right there to the back of the red starfish, and we're going to do the same thing with the blue to the white. I thought about knotting the twine, but I ended up not really needing to, and I wanted it to hang flat, so I didn't want any extra knots back there if I could avoid it, and that is so simple. You can use this for an outdoor hanging. You can use this, I think I'm going to use mine for a wall hanging. Very subtle. The red, white, and blue is definitely patriotic. And it's really, really cute. It doesn't scream like crazy 4th of July decorations, but I like it. I thought about adding a little bit of that mesh ribbon that looks like fishnet behind it, but we ended up actually just doing it like this, a very simple little starfish wall hanging for the 4th of July. Okay, this is the project that I was inspired by one of you guys. So I'm going to try my own version. She did hers all together as one. I'm going to do mine as 3 different signs. We're going to use 3 of the Dollar Tree frames, the 5x5. And let me look up her name real quick. It was Billy Sue Dilly on my Facebook Crafty Beach Bums that made this cute sea turtle DIY. I thought about making mine all sea turtles, but I ended up using a starfish too. These are those great ceramic sea creatures that they have the Shore Living line that I love so much. I ordered those things by the case this year. Now, this is some star fabric that I found at Dollar Tree. It's really cute, blue with the white stars. You could always use scrapbook paper or whatever you can find with like a star pattern for the background. This is a nice small star pattern, so I think it's really cute. I'm going to start by ironing it, and I think that's going to be a great background for this project. The frames that I'm using are like these great frames that have glass that slide right in like this. Never used these before, but they're really cool. They come with 2 glasses where you can kind of suspend something in between like a photo. I'm only going to use one of the glass, and I'm just going to use it as a back since it doesn't really have a back to the frame, right? So I'm going to use that for reference, sitting that directly on my fabric. And I think I used this fabric on a sailboat DIY for 4th of July in a previous video. So this is my scrap fabric from that. But I love this pattern. And I am just using my like fine tip Sharpie to sketch that out so I can cut down 3 pieces of fabric to cover the back of each one of my signs. And we're going to have a set of like shelf sitters that are going to be really cute and patriotic, but also definitely coastal. So I'm just going to carefully cut these little pieces out. I love using fabric for background. Dollar Tree does not have a great selection of scrapbook paper. You could always print this pattern out too. It'd be pretty easy to do if you have a printer. And I really love the background. It really made the different creatures pop. And then it's just a matter of attaching the fabric to the glass. I use the glass a lot as backgrounds for my Dollar Tree DIY projects. It's nice flat surface, and it works well with Mod Podge. So I do a layer of Mod Podge all over, thick enough to hold the fabric on there. And even though this is a square sign, the glass is not necessarily square, probably for how it slides into the frame. It's probably a little bit longer in one direction. So you will have to make sure that you get your fabric going the right way. I'm just testing it out to make sure it's going to work, and it definitely will. I'm gonna like try to modify the frames a little bit too, so you don't see that slot in the top. I don't really like the look of that. It's definitely functional though, right? So for the second one, I'm just using one piece of glass from that frame too, and we're gonna Mod Podge the fabric onto that one, just like we did before. We're gonna do that with all 3 of them, and I'm gonna end up with 3 extra pieces of glass. I'm gonna go ahead and toss those just because they're fragile and I don't want those in my stash breaking. Once I get them all on there, I really don't have to do anything else to it. It's going to give me that nice fabric look. I don't want any kind of a coating on top of it. And so I am going to trim it slightly though, just to make sure I don't have any fabric overlapping that's going to interfere with sliding that into the frame or how it looks in the final project. What I want to do is attach those little sea creatures to the different frames, but I'm going to go ahead and put them together first. So making sure I have my glass going the right direction. It's a little confusing. I'm going to slide that in there. And that is so simple. I love these frames. These are really cute. Now, the top does kind of have an opening on there like that. I am going to glue mine in place so they don't slide out, and so that I can kind of display these upside down because I want to cover up that slide. I don't think that's very attractive for the top of my project. But I went ahead and slid all 3 of my backgrounds in there. And then I just did a bead of hot glue along the top of each one of these to glue those in place so I don't have to worry about those falling out. Kind of smoothing it out too because I don't want it to interfere with how they stand up. And we have our 3 background signs. Now she did hers on one longer sign, so that's another option too. You'll have to check out her project. It was really cute. And we have our 3 little signs, and now we're ready for these great little wall decor, I guess is what they're called. I'm going to do 2 of the sea turtles and 1 of the starfish. They're like a white ceramic resin. They're so pretty. The detail on them is so pretty. I really like using them just white, and so that's what we're going to do. They do have holes in them from the hanger, though, that I cut off, so I am going to fill those with just a little bit of spackle. Since they're white ceramic, adding the white spackle, you really can't see it. And just kind of push it into the hole there and dry that, and you'll have 3 perfectly little ceramic resin pieces to work with. I chose the sea turtles and the starfish because they're nice and flat, because we also want to add some fun patriotic letters to this. We're going to use the felt Dollar Tree letters in red and spell out the word USA. Or I guess the letter is USA, right? We're going to hot glue these on. I'm going to do this sea turtle like facing up like that. I think that looks really cute. And just try to center that on, hot gluing that to the fabric that is attached to the glass on the back of these frames. And we're going to do that with all 3 of these. I like the idea of mixing it up for a different sea creature. I thought about using 3 different ones, like that spiral seashell one too, but it wasn't super flat, so I didn't think that'd be a great base for the letters themselves. So we're going to have 2 sea turtles. And then it's just peel and stick for the felt letters. USA, I think they'll stay on there. They're pretty sticky. And just a fun way to add some lettering. It's going to look patriotic with the USA on there. But you could always spell out, whatever you wanted with this idea. I think it's really cute. Just trying to make sure that I get them centered on there, on the shell, like exactly how I did the other side. And then for the final touch, the white frames are cute, but I thought they kind of needed a little something. So I'm going to use some burlap trim just to decorate the sides and the top. They're going to be visible when these are sitting on my shelf. Now these Dollar Tree burlap trims are really cute. They don't come with a lot in a package though. Of individual shapes like this, and so I'm gonna have to use a couple packages to be able to do all 3, but I just picked one of them. This is like the swirly one, just because I wanted to add a little bit of burlap to this just for the coastal feel. So I just measured one of the signs, both sides and the top, and I'm gonna cut out 3 pieces all the same length. The other option you could always paint some flag stripes, like do a red stripe around the frame with paint or tape or something like that. I thought about doing that, but I decided to go with burlap. So I don't want it to interfere with how the signs stand, so I'm not doing the bottom. And I'm just going to glue this on here. I noticed that it was having a little bit of problem sticking, so you do have to kind of glue all the way down the trim on there. So I'm trying not to use too much glue though, because I don't want it seeping through too much. So just a little bit of hot glue and centering that on the frame. We're going to do that all the way around. And I think this was the perfect final touch for these little signs. They're so cute and simple and a fun patriotic DIY if you still have some of these wall charms. I loved these so much I ordered a case of them and then went to the store and saw how cute they were, and then I ordered another case of them. So I have lots of these. I made some really fun wind chimes in my wind chime video with these. With this spiral shell one. And doing the same thing here on my last sign. We're almost finished with this project. And I'm glad I added that. It really broke up the plainness of just the white frame, but so cute. Look at how cute these are. Let me give you a close-up view. See that beautiful texture on that starfish? I can't decide which one I like more. I think I love the sea turtles more just because I'm a sea turtle fan. But really patriotic. The red letters really make it pop against the blue and white star background. But so cute for coastal 4th of July. What do you guys think? Hey guys, have you checked out my new website yet? It's craftybeach.net. What's going to happen is when I do YouTube videos, I am making blog posts over there at craftybeach.net, and it's a great resource for you. You can go in and find what video you're looking for. I just started at Easter, so I have Easter, I have beach, summer, and if you click on it, you'll find a photo of every DIY I made in that video that you can pin on Pinterest so you can remember that you wanted to make it. You can even go down, find the corresponding YouTube video. I have them all linked in the blog post, and I'm going to have everything organized by season. Again, I started at Easter, so I'm starting to get a lot on there. I even have a link to my Amazon shop for the products that I recommend in my video, so you can find those easily. And I have a link to my Etsy shop if you want some of my fun crafting meme printables that are so popular. So remember, it is craftybeach.net. Be sure to check it out. Brand new website just launched here on the internet. Okay, let's do another DIY. For this one, I wanted to use one of the little shore living baskets. They do have these like in the regular section too. This is specifically one of that was shore living. So it's got the navy stripes, which I thought looked kind of fun and a little bit coastal. We're going to use that with some of these great like plastic balls that look like the glass fishing floats, a sand dollar, and like a rope ball, all from the Dollar Tree. The rope ball I had was a little big. I did have to end up using a smaller one to get everything to fit. But basically I wanted to do like a red, white, and blue. These came in like a teal color, a clear color, and a royal blue color. And so I wanted to see if I could kind of change the color of this without damaging it. So I just cut the net off the very base of the bottom so it can still be intact, right? And I wanted to see if I could frost this with a different color. So I'm using Mod Podge and a little bit of food coloring. And I wanted to see if I could make one red because I didn't have red ones and I wanted to do like a red, white, and blue for like a little ball and a basket arrangement to sit around for the 4th of July. Now, one dot of red food color kind of made it pink. So I added another, and I'm just going to use a foam brush to try to avoid brush strokes if I can, and do a very thin coat of the Mod Podge all over the plastic ball because I want it to look tinted like the blue one, where you can still see through it, but I want it to be tinted red. So this was just kind of an experiment. It did work. I liked it. There are a lot of steps involved though, because you have to do several coats, or maybe I should have added a little bit more food coloring. Maybe that would have avoided the extra coats, but I'm trying to do a thin coat. So I did one side and dried it, did the other side. As you can see, it kind of looks pinkish still. So let's go over it with another coat to see how red we can get it. I've used this technique with the dishwasher Mod Podge for outdoor solar lights and stuff like that, and it worked really well to frost glass. And definitely a lot cheaper than doing like the spray frosting. But this is what it looks like so far, 2 coats. I still wasn't happy with it, and I still have some of that Mod Podge left. So let's go over it with a 3rd coat to see if I can make it a little bit more red. And again, trying to avoid brush strokes as much as I can by using that foam brush. I think that's as red as I'm going to get it. I like it. I think it looks cool. And I think it works for my purposes. So now it's just a matter of sliding it back into the fishing net. And then I'm just going to use a piece of twine to tie all of that netting back together. So I just kind of tie that off on one side, and I'm just going to go through all the different pieces, pulling it tight to bring it all back together here at the bottom. And then I can tie that off and it won't be super noticeable that I took it apart or anything like that. And I just wanted to stack like these in a bowl. You could also do like a wall hanging with these. I've done it with like the pretty aqua blue ones. They look so cute, especially if you alternate up a few colors and hang them all together with like a piece of rope. But this one's gonna be a project in a basket. So I use a little Spanish moss for the filler. I think that looks coastal. 2, this is the rope ball that I have. It's a little too big. And I find that out when I go to try to stack everything in this little basket, that it's a little too crowded, and I don't think everything's going to stay in there, and my sand dollar, I don't really have room for it as well. So I do go in and use a smaller rope ball just because I had one. I got some of the rope ball vase fillers from Target, and I think it'll work for this. I did think about just eliminating the rope ball. This was me going back and forth going, this is way too big. This is one of the smaller ones. This is a vase filler from Target, and it fits in there way better. So just trying to alternate kind of which way my glass fishing floats go in there, but I kind of wanted to do the red, white, and blue with the sand dollar. But I didn't want to leave the sand dollar plain. I wanted to give it a little patriotic fun too. So using some Dollar Tree napkins, I'm going to show you how I decoupage this. I love decoupaging these little sand dollars from the Dollar Tree. It's a fun way to add a little personality. If you had some flag napkins, that'd be really cute too. These are like the red and blue stars with a white background, so I'll still get that red, white, and blue, but a little bit more of a patriotic vibe. And it takes a very thin coat of Mod Podge to do this. And when I took the napkin apart, I separated the layers just to give me one layer of the napkin. You want it as thin as possible. And I just do that very thin coat of Mod Podge all over the sand dollar, and very carefully, trying not to rip my napkin, smooth this out right on top. It dries really quickly, and then I can remove the excess napkin. The best way I found to do that is just to use a sanding block and sand that paper off to give you a perfect cut around that kind of abnormal shape that these little sand dollars from the Dollar Tree are. And then I'll also cut out the slots for the different parts of the sand dollar too, so you can tell what it is. Trying to find some small scissors to kind of cut these out. What works really well for these like little inside parts like this to get rid of the excess paper is a nail file. But I didn't have a nail file handy that was going to fit into these slots. But I'll show you what I ended up doing. I just tried to cut out all the slots, all 5 of them, with the scissors. And then kind of push the paper and glue it down on the inside of the slots, just using the end of a paintbrush. And that seemed to work pretty well. We are going to seal this to make it a little bit more permanent. And the stars are only on the front part of the sand dollar here. So I think that's going to work, but you could use a file for that, just carefully. Carefully sand the inside of those slots. And then I went over the top of it with another thin coat of Mod Podge to secure everything and make sure it is nice and sturdy. And there it is, our little patriotic sand dollar. I think it turned out really cute. And it's the perfect final thing for the little arrangement we have here. I love those glass fishing floats, and yes, you can dye them colors. So we have the red, white, and blue. We have the sand dollar. And I love the little blue striped basket. I think it's really cute. Just another little fun, whimsical coastal 4th of July decoration that's very coastal, but it has that little flair of red, white, and blue for the 4th of July. I hope you got lots of fun coastal patriotic inspiration today. It's time for the final reveal of all 7 DIYs we made today. Be sure to comment below which one was your favorite, or just come say hello. I love reading your all's comments. And if you haven't subscribed, what are you waiting for? Enjoy the final reveal. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video. I also want to give a huge shout out to the following crafty beach bums for supporting my channel here on YouTube. Thank you to Karen O'Haron, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Julie Miller, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Maria Grace, Donna Schreiner, Sandy C., Debbie DeLay, Ariana's Mama, and Live Another Day. Thank you so much for being Crafty Beach Bum members. If you would like to join, all you have to do is hit the join button under today's video. It's $4.99 a month. You can cancel anytime, and you can get early ad-free access to my videos here on YouTube. Now, do you want some more crafting inspiration? I have more Coastal Patriotic Dollar Tree DIYs for you in this video right here. Until next time, happy crafting!